What's up, boys? Welcome to another episode of Bussin' With The Boys. I'm your host, Will Compton, alumni of Nebraska, the Cornhuskers. Yes, we're gonna fucking talk about that shit, dude. Before we do, we got to shout out our presenting sponsor. As always, no free shout outs on this podcast. If you're just joining us, you're a Green Bay fan ready to listen to the Aaron Rodgers podcast, or I'm sure the millions and billions of Joe Rogan listeners are now like, oh, what's Aaron Rodgers? What podcast has he been on? They're going to see the Bussin' With The Boys just released. By the way, huge compliment to Joe Rogan to try and cuck us and get in front of us on this Aaron Rodgers episode. Shout out to him. He's a vet in the game. We're new. But that's a lot of respect, I think, to Bussin' With The Boys. The fact that it's known that we're releasing an Aaron Rodgers episode. Joe, very dear friend of mine, was like, hey, I'm going to cuck you. You know, one day, I'll get you on the Joe Rogan podcast. You know what I mean? It'll be good drama. Because there's a lot of drama, actually, in the podcast world right now. Yeah, Joe's playing a long play. He wants to get my attention, so I'll try to come on, his Joe Rogan podcast. Where is he leaving live now? I think he's... No, I'm not sure either. Yeah.
Yeah, Austin.
Oh, hey, that's what we needed, though. That's what we needed. Oh, you really don't know? Texas. But like I said, hey, shout out to Chevy Silverado. No free shout outs to the boys. Every team starts the season undefeated. Everybody in the NFL is undefeated right now. Everybody's got a shot at the Super Bowl, but there's one team who's already won it all, and that team is Chevy. It's star player, you guessed it, the Silverado. According to JD Power, Chevy is the most awarded brand for new vehicle quality, and Chevy Trucks has won more new vehicle quality awards than any other brand in the world. That's some serious hardware for the boys. But champions don't stop. Chevy doesn't stop. They keep moving forward. That's what the boys do. From the LT model to the most extreme Silverado ever, the ZR2, Chevy gave the Silverado a new interior with larger infotainment screen and a digital instrument cluster that you guys will love, and the family will have a ball with it every day on a daily basis. They gave it towing technology with up to 14 available camera views. It's always truck season here at Bussin' With The Boys, and now it's also tailgate season. What better way to roll up to a tailgate? It's a nice Sunday morning, Saturday morning for the college football fans out there. What better way to roll up to a tailgate than in a new Chevy Silverado, boasting a larger, more functional bed than any other competitor out there. Head over to Chevy.com to learn more about the Chevy Silverado. And for those people out there that are really curious about that information and want to double check me and fact check me on the serious hardware that Chevy's brought home, you can go to jdpower.com/awards for that award information. I feel like I kind of bodied that ad read right there. Can we get a moment of silence for that ad read? All right, boys, can we bring some fucking juice to the bus? There's a lot of shit going on. There's lows right now. And that low is, did any of you guys expect us to lose to Northwestern? Be fucking real, JP. Did you think we were going to lose to Northwestern?
I'll say this. I thought you guys were going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised because Northwestern's quarterback transferred from South Carolina.
He was a dog at South Carolina?
Yeah, he had some injuries. He was a talented guy. So it says a lot about South Carolina's program. We let that guy go. Must mean we have something good cooking.
Bro, there was no part of me. There was zero part of me. I was like, we're back. It's fucking that first drive with Casey Thompson and that offense, just piecing up that defense. We throw a bomb, fucking Randy Moss, old boy, in the end zone. I was like, we are here. Like, we're going all the way. We're fucking going 11-1, just like I said. I also said, if you wanted to lose any game, you want it to be the first game of the season. So, not to pull an insurance policy out, but there's a lot going on right now in the college football world. We are the talk of the town because we were like the only good game on Saturday. And I do appreciate everybody who roots for other teams and they tune into the Nebraska Huskers just because they know I have a very high level of emotional investment in the Huskers. Because people hit me up like, hey, how you doing? Like, that's a tough loss. What the fuck just happened? Like, I knew you guys sucked. Like, Will, you're trash again. But there was no part of me that thought we were going to lose that game. But I am not the type to hit the fucking panic button. We don't hit the panic button. There's a couple things in that game that you get corrected, you get fixed, you take some accountability. We're back. Like, we just got to regroup beat the shit out of North Dakota. Everyone assumes that. I think that's always the shitty part about losing an opener like that to Northwestern. Now, hats off to Northwestern. They seem to be a dominant force in the Big Ten. We could be looking at the future Big Ten championship. Maybe we'll see them again down the road. I don't know if they're in the other division. I should probably know that. But let's not get it twisted. We have no clue if North Dakota's like them. You know what I mean? And we might have just played ball with the future top 5 team. That time will tell. But as far as handling us and keeping it in-house internally, you got to watch the tape. You got to understand that don't listen to the fucking noise. Don't listen to the outside. Don't read Will's Twitter. Don't fucking read all the hater shit out there. We need to watch the tape. We need to understand that we sucked at tackling. We had bad eyes on defense. That's not the black shirt product that's going to be consistent carryover from what we had last year. The boys are going to get right. I'm not worried about that. I think the offense played well. There are some drop balls out there. Now, you ask yourself, 6-hour jet lag. We traveled across the pond in the foreign soil. Is there something that they're like, yes, they went through it too. Northwestern, those boys went through it too. They have way better degrees than we do at Nebraska. They understand the science. They understand how to take care of themselves. I feel like a little bit better than the boys at Nebraska. So even though they both went with the 6-hour jet lag, that could have played into it. All I'm saying is I'm not going to hit the fucking panic button like everybody else screaming and losing their fucking mind right now. Because that's what happens at Nebraska. We're about to win a natty. Fire that motherfucker Frost before he gets on the plane. Within hours. You know what I'm saying? That's Nebraska. And I'm not going to stir that pot. I'm not fucking doing it. Because I'm in the long run with the boys. You correct a few things. I'm not going to blame the refs. I'm going to say something now that's going to blame the ref, but I'm not going to say that that's what the game was on. They fucked up that call, that fumble call. It shouldn't have been a fumble. We should have had that ball. We were rolling all offense, killed our momentum, and we would have been up 21-10 going into halftime. Now, where I will say that what the fuck moment of the game was that onside kick in the third quarter with 9 minutes left. Listen, we just gained a lot of momentum. We scored, we pick it off, we score again. We're fucking feeling ourselves. That quick after the third quarter. We had an incredible halftime speech, I'm sure. These boys can't fucking hang with us. There's too many white guys on the field. Let's drag them. And we took them to the deep end, and I don't know what the communication was. I appreciate Scott taking a lot of bullets at the presser saying it was his call. You can only imagine it's either his call or the coordinator thinks he had a plan and he signed off on it. Yes, if you get that onside kick, of course, we're all singing hallelujah, what an incredible call. However, fuck, man. We got all the momentum. We got everything. The boys are playing. Now, one game doesn't decide anything. Again, I'm here for the positive vibes. We're pro vibes. This is the overreaction Monday that we're at right now. That's what, you know. But small things are correct. Accountability. Drag the fuck out of North Dakota. The hard part is when you're in college and you lose a game like that, and I know I said that earlier, but here's the point I was getting at. You think the world's falling on you, and you want to hurry up and play a good team so you can get that bad taste out of your mouth. Because who are we playing? North Dakota and Georgia Southern? Are those the two teams? Yeah, those are the next 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks, if you're about that fucking life, in the Nebraska locker room, which I'm sure they are, they're not going to say stuff like this. They're going to say, we respect the game. We got to play everybody true. That is true. However, we should, if we are who we think we are, we should dog walk the shit out of North Dakota and Georgia Southern. That just is what it is until we get the Sooners at home on my birthday weekend. But that's going to be the game where it's like, all right, here's where we get back right. Here's where we prove them that week 0 was a fluke. By the way, week 0, people do argue that game doesn't fucking count because it's not really week 1. Again, no panic button, pro vibes. We are bringing the juice to Nebraska this weekend. If you're in Lincoln or you're in Nebraska, the bus is going to be in Lincoln on Friday. We're going to be stationed right where we were last year, right where they dropped the boys off at the Unity Walk in that little, what do they call it? The little fucking section in campus, like the little quad area in campus in front of the Union, the Boneyard. The bus is going to be right there. We're going to be tailgating. We're going to be drinking some brews. I don't know what their rules are there, so I don't want to say a whole lot. We're going to be drinking a lot of fluid to hydrate ourselves. We're going to have a great time. We are bringing the fucking energy to Nebraska. Join us. Have fun with us. We're going to be making content, having a great time. But you can catch us at Nebraska this weekend. we'll be there ready to go, ready to get the boys back on track. I'm excited to dap the boys up, look them in the eye, and say, hey, buddy, let's fucking go. So that's all go. I don't know how long that was of a tangent on Nebraska. I wanted to keep it short for you guys. What do we have next? I'm flustered. I'm pissed off about the loss.
Yeah, in recent news, Brett Kern release and our boy Taylor, which was, yeah. If you're a Titans fan, you know how important Brett Kern has been to the organization.
Dude.
I mean, the longest tenured player that we've had active. He was the third longest tenured player in the Titans franchise history.
So he's been on the Titans since he came into the league, yeah?
No, he started with Denver and he was there for like 2 years. And then
I think we did know that because he came on the
he was on the pod. And go check out that pod because he told a riveting story. But he got cut from Denver after 2 seasons and then he got picked up by the Titans and has been with us for the last 13 seasons.
Yeah. So Brett, man, that's like, this is a prime example. Like cut day is always tough. I've been literally in every corner of cut day where you feel good. You think your job's protected. It's like, all right, let's just, now it's finally preseason's over. Thank God. Let's focus on week 1. I've been where I don't know what to do. I'm trying to call reporters, text reporters, try and text like not exactly coaches, but maybe the assistants that would know a little bit more, like, hey, what are they saying? To where you're nervous as all get out. Like you just laid it on the line. You might have you have some good tape, you have some bad tape. You think all the coaches are in there probably talking about your bad tape, and that's probably why you'll get cut. Wishing, damn, I wish I had those plays back, watching the tape yourself, like cussing yourself out, assuming the worst and the most. And cut day always sucks. But speaking on Brett, that's tough for everybody in that building. Obviously, Brett, he doesn't want to leave. He wants to do, play until he can't play anymore, I'm sure, with the Titans. Like, he's been here for 13 years. Like you said, the most tenured Titan. Now it's the boy Taylor, which that's a big responsibility. He's the only guy that's witnessed, I think, a losing season on the Titans roster now.
Correct.
But it sucks from every angle, man. And it's like, Brett is a Pro Bowl punter. He's going to get picked up right away. But you know what you're getting over the next year or two with him, however he finishes out his deal. However, there's a young kid who's got an absolute cannon for a leg it seems like he has really good potential. Seems like the stuff he needs to work on, those can be developed with time, with patience. And so as the GM and all of the front office, they sit there, it's the hardest decision to make, cutting somebody that you love and is a good player, and you have to think 5 to 10 years down the road versus this season, next season, and all that stuff. But everyone in the cafeteria loved him. The equipment room, the locker room loved him. The coaches loved him. Fuck, the bus loves him. All the Titans Nation loves him. Like, that's just a hard business decision to make. Making that phone call, hey, can you come in and talk to me? And you sit there, you kind of all know what it is. You give a massive hug, and it just sucks, man. You got to part ways. Like, I understand the decision. It just sucks, which reminds me, and this is very well needs to happen, but can we have a moment of silence for Brett Kern, greatest punter to ever put on a Titan uniform? Thanks, boys. I think Brett will respect that because he's probably listens. Taylor's now the longest tenured Titan. All right, what else do we have? Nebraska trip this weekend. We covered that. Shout out, no free shout out. That's coming along very well. House of Dragon update. Are you boys caught up? Listen, if you're a fan of House of Dragon, you haven't watched it yet. Number one, that shows that you're not a tier 1 of House of Dragon. It's all good. We're going to talk about it, but you should catch up and watch House of Dragon with all of the with all the opinions on how Game of Thrones ended. There is a lot of pressure for House of Dragon to deliver, because Game of Thrones is arguably the greatest series to be created. Now, that's arguable. There's a lot of good ones out there we talked about on the last podcast. But with the generation that we're in now, to where everybody feels like a community tuning in on Sundays, Game of Thrones has everybody's heart, had everybody's heart. There's a lot of mixed emotions. House of Dragon now needs to come in with a lot of pressure and expectation. I'm sure all the people in their front office have seen all the opinions and pissed off fans out there, but you got to deliver. With that said, House of Dragon is fucking awesome. I think it's a hitter. There's a lot of chess being played right now. And we figure out, I always butcher names. I'm terrible with names. Rhaenyra? It's Rhaenyra, yeah?
Yeah, we'll just go with that until someone corrects us.
But Rhaenyra, you see she's got that young, like, Thundercat vibe in her. She's that kid who understands she's getting disrespected in front of her parents and in front of people that have status over her. She swallows her pride because she understands the game that's being played against her right now, and she goes with it because she knows she knows where she's going to get her calculated shots in, and I think that's a storyline I love the most. Now, what hit her big time was when her best friend, or was it her cousin?
I believe it's her cousin. I want to say they're related in some way.
Either way, best friend too.
Definitely best friend.
They're choosing Viserys he's going to grow with her, and that was a moment that kind of took it away. However, I think there's such a focus on that moment because it's showing how Rhaenyra feels threatened because now dad can have an heir
If it's a boy
with her best friend,
Correct.
which is a threat to her being on the throne because Rhaenyra's got the juice to be a queen. Like, she's got it. And she knows it. She knows if anything is against her, it's time because her dad needs to die for her to be the fucking queen. Now, I think it makes it interesting for how maybe she offs her old man. I have no clue. Now we're just guessing. I didn't read the books. I haven't done any of that, going down loopholes and shit like that. But that's how I kind of see that going. And I'm a big fan of Rhaenyra. Like, that's the kind of one I want to see unfold. I think Daemon, he's a wild card. They're known for their incest in the family line. Maybe fucking Daemon and Rhaenyra get after it a little bit.
That's, yeah. I mean, I haven't even thought about
fucking
that.
massive, like, rivalry, right?
The scene between them where Rhaenyra disobeys her father's orders
Yes.
and then goes and just takes the dragon egg back. That was like the first moment we were like, all right, this chick's got balls. Like,
Right.
she's not afraid to like step out of line, but she also keeps it like very respectful when she's like speaking to everyone, all like the older council and like,
because she's playing, she knows how to play the game. Like when she was standing in there, the long con, bro. When she's sitting in that council room and she kind of said what she would do with Dragonstone by going there, they kind of like obviously belittled her and shit on her and made her try to be superior over her. She took it to the chin and it's like, all right, we'll see how this unfolds. I'm gonna ride my fucking dragon over there and let them know how this goes down, because she saved bloodshed, and she told the hand who kind of like, sir, like, let's be real. Like, let's let the big dogs talk at the dinner table and she can go play in the kids' room. And so she looks him in the eyes, swallows her pride, says, I'm saving bloodshed, does her thing, is respectable, like you said, Jack, walks off, flies home. Her dad realizes, like, oh, she could be a fucking player. And I think that's why her dad picks her best friend, because I think he kind of knows that she's got that kind of juice.
So you think she's almost trying to like delay the inevitable of her becoming the new heir?
Yeah, I think they both all kind of know, and they're all playing the most civilized game of chess without being emotional about it. Like, she knows what game she needs to play, and I think her dad knows, like, oh shit, like, she's the real fucking deal. Like,
Yeah.
I wish she was a dude because we could just make that the heir and I can live my life peacefully. But now I feel like I got to protect my legacy, and she might change a little bit because she's challenging me in front of everybody else. It's a bad look on the old man. Now I need to figure out how I can get my power back. I think I'm going to bang her best friend, create an heir, hoping it's a boy. That's what I'm kind of guessing.
No, yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, he wishes he had a son to take the heir, and he doesn't want his brother, and he doesn't want to be the first king to let like a woman take the throne. So he's got a lot of hard decisions to face.
Yeah.
I think we're all pulling for Rhaenyra. I mean,
I think so.
She's she's doing it. So
yeah, no, I think she's kind of the fan favorite right now. I think where it gets interesting if her and the Daemon thing plays out, but you never know. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I'm saying that House of Dragon is the real deal, and I think they're doing a phenomenal job so far. So everybody who's on the fence about it, you should tune in. If you watch it and we just spoiled some shit, then you got to get up to date, because this pod is all about fucking House of Dragon.
I mean, just know when we update on the beginning of the week, we're gonna be covering House of Dragon every week moving forward. So skip this part if you don't want any spoilers.
Yeah, we interrupt this episode to bring you Duke Cannon. I hope you guys are enjoying this episode. I hope you guys are enjoying the intro. This is going to be in the intro part, right, Blasi? Duke Cannon, their deodorant is made for the boys that run hot. You see the boy right now? I'm pitting a little bit, and you know why? Because I came straight from the workout and didn't have a chance to put on that dry ice deodorant, because dry ice not only cools you the entire day, but it also is, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like resistant. It doesn't let the sweat come out and pour all over into your shirt like mine's doing under the right pit right now. Now, I want to put the deodorant aside for a second, because there's a product that I am becoming obsessed over, and it is their coal mining face wash. The scent that they have on that soap, lotion, face wash is incredible. I'm washing my face 3 times a day, and I'm not bullshitting you. That's no pause. I'm using that lotion on my face, or face wash on my face 3 times a day, because I absolutely love the coal mining. That is now my favorite product over the sandalwood cologne. I'm still a big believer in the sandalwood cologne. Duke Cannon's got a roster of products that I think you guys will enjoy. They're also fucking homegrown. They're not the corporate products that you see in all the aisles. They have like their little section, but Duke Cannon's like the small guy, the grinders, dude. They work with the military. They're not for clowns. They have some subliminal messaging that's actually pretty funny and humorous, like on their product, but they're like the little guy who's like coming up, you know what I mean? And they're using Bussin With The Boys to promote their product, but that's why you guys need to go check them out at any Target or on DukeCannon.com and use code Bussin for 15% off your first order. That's DukeCannon.com. Use code Bussin for 15% off. Back to the episode. Did you see what's going on? You see I Am Athlete now speaking on the pivot.
Okay, yeah. Was that what your tweet was about earlier?
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? Because I was a little confused. I wasn't informed.
What time are we at with the intro right now?
Almost 30.
Okay, yeah, we can do our shout out, no free shout out, and then get into this Aaron Rodgers podcast. So the pivot is now coming out speaking on, or I Am Athlete is now coming out speaking on the breakup with the pivot and all the guys, and you're kind of hearing it more from not only Brandon Marshall's perspective, but Pac-Man, McCoy, and who's the other guy that's on the show? I don't want to disrespect him by not knowing his name, but they're on the pod with Joe Budden, because Joe Budden's went through a couple big breakups, and they're kind of talking through like the messiness of how personal friendship, relationship gets involved with business. And, you know, because Pivot's been very open about their breakup with I Am Athlete, and Brandon hasn't said a whole lot. Now on this episode with I Am Athlete, which both great channels, they're both massive. We'd love to be fucking like those boys one day. I think we will be. Would love to be there. But they're kind of going back and forth and telling their side of the story. So I think it's all super interesting stuff. There's things that I'm listening to where I understand the stuff that. What are you looking at, JP? Oh yeah, Nick Young, Brandon Jennings. They felt it. Yeah, they're kind of. I feel like they're in the middle of continuing to like figure it out. Because I didn't know Ocho Cinco left from I Am Athlete. I didn't know that. But you're getting the perspective of Brandon Marshall's side now, where it's just interesting to hear. You can see where there's lapses in communication along the way. You can see where maybe greed gets involved a little bit. You can understand the business piece on when they all wanted to buy in or just be paid as talent. And then after shows blowing up, they want to go back and actually talk about it again. And then the price went up because now it's blowing up. There's just a lot of that drama and dynamic, and they get into the weeds about how that all unfolded. Because you can clearly see, like, if you're somebody who follows, because I do, I follow the Pivot and I follow I Am Athlete. We've had the Pivot guys on here. Big fans of the guys on the Pivot. I've always watched Brandon Marshall with I Am Athlete from afar. I think he has a good show too. But I've always been a fan, like RC, Uncle RC. I played with him for a year in Washington, and then having Fred and Channing on the bus, like, we obviously know their side and we love the shit that they do. But you just get that you get the different perspective, because if you've been a listener on both shows, you very much see that they're in the middle, that they compete. Like, you see it on their Instagram stories when they're like, I Am Athlete might say more than just a show. And then you might see the Pivot do their posting like, everybody has a podcast, but not everybody can pivot. Like, they're competing whether or not they play the whole, we want everybody to win. Like, I want to say RC tweeted like, no worries and no hard feelings. I'd want to talk about us too. Lions don't concern themselves with opinions of sheep. And it's kind of like, okay, no hard feelings, no worries. You're sheep. So, like, you see the dynamic. Like, they are, I feel like if you're anybody watching from afar, they're very much in direct competition. Because there are times where I hear the Pivot say stuff, I'm like, are they talking to me specifically? Bussin With The Boys. But if you're not caught up on any of their stuff, we had the Pivot guys on. You can listen to that podcast where they talk about the breakup with I Am Athlete. And that was kind of fresh after the breakup too. And then I Am Athlete just came out with their episode with Joe Budden, where they get into the details and weeds a lot of like the whole business, balancing personal, professional, trying to navigate all that, which is all good shit to learn. Like, Taylor and I are in the business together. And I tweeted, what Jack's referencing is, I tweeted, is Bussin With The Boys the only multi-athlete show that has no like past drama? But Anyway, you know we're gonna live on the internet and have fun with it. Should we get in everybody? So the Aaron Rodgers podcast. The reason we have a longer intro right now, we were time capped on this Aaron Rodgers podcast. Again, we went to Green Bay. We did how many conversations that day? Four conversations. LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers were 1 and 2, and we had to get those in before a team meeting. So my nerves were pretty high because I like to be prepared for all the episodes. And we were told that we only had like 20 minutes with Aaron Rodgers. And the time slot, we had LaFleur on at 9 in the morning. LaFleur shows up a little late. Accountability. We run over with LaFleur past 10 o'clock when Aaron was supposed to come on. We were going to have Aaron from 10 a.m. to 10:20 because they had a meeting at 11. So when we're wrapping up with Bisaccia and LaFleur, I'm already like got anxiety. I've had nothing but caffeine, didn't eat, was fasting because my fat ass ate too much the night before. So I'm all which way, sideways. And trying to figure out if Aaron and Tunyon are showing up. Aaron comes on at like 10:15, 10:20. And my man, the media guy in the back, we stretched Aaron out as long as possible. We actually had him on for like 30, 38 minutes, I think. And the dude's in the back waving his arm like, you know, cut it. And we're, you know, the boys are in the back kind of trying not to look or see him because we're in the middle of some conversation with the GOAT, with Aaron Rodgers. And so I personally, it's one of those things where I check the tape. There's questions I wish I would have thrown in there and would have been thinking about. But all in all, like, it's a good episode. You get you know, he talks a lot. I asked the most important question of all time, you know, is you guys will hear it. The very first question. Then we get into LaFleur and Bisaccia. LaFleur alludes to a play in Detroit that Aaron Rodgers had where he got MF'd. He basically got sunned for the first time by Aaron Rodgers and realized like, oh, this dude has awareness of the most elite level I've ever seen. And Aaron kind of talks really good about the dynamic of his relationship with LaFleur, where they had to kind of grow and meet eye to eye on a couple things. And then we ask a fun, like, start, bench, cut, a fun question at the end of the pod. But all in all, it was a good episode. I just wish fucking Joe Rogan cucking me and he does a 3-hour drop with Aaron Rodgers and we got our fucking 30-minute pod with Aaron Rodgers. But but you guys are going to enjoy it. If you're watching right now, take a couple seconds, just subscribe to the YouTube. If you're listening to the boys right now, subscribe on Apple and Spotify or Google Play if you're watching. We got our new merch. For those Packer fans watching right now, we got a fucking shirt created for you guys. You guys are actually doing well, I think, on the last numbers check, as far as like purchasing this stuff. The Lightning Tee is here to fucking stay. The boys, the mascot, and the goddamn lightning going down, go purchase our stuff. Store.barstoolsports.com/Bussin With The Boys. You'll see it at the top. We dropped our entire football line. You guys are going to love it. Get geared up for the season. Now we're going to get into our shout out, free shout out segment of the week, and then we're going to roll right into the Aaron Rodgers episode. Blas, kick this thing off, brother. Like, let's have some good vibes.
All right. My shout out this week wasn't something that I actually experienced personally, but it was a text message that I got late last, was it Saturday? Is that the day that you were at the wedding?
Yeah.
It was a text that I got late Saturday. I was just going about my night and I received a text message from somebody I haven't heard in a little while.
You up?
It was my buddy Damien. And he sends me a selfie with him and JP at the same wedding. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder how this wedding went for JP, because anytime you're invited somewhere that you don't really know anybody, you don't know who's going to be there, hell, you really just don't even want to be there. And you meet somebody that you have a common interest with, and that common interest either carries the night or you just build upon. That was the only thing that I was going through my mind, was like, man,
Talk to him, baby.
that's awesome. So my shout out, no free shout out, goes to, you know, having a common interest with somebody at an unexpected event, or an event that you don't even want to be at.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Jackie boy.
Yeah, mine's gonna be short and sweet. And right off the bat, you might think it's something that is not that like worthy of a shout out, but my shout out, no free shout out, goes to waking up with a fully charged phone. And I get it. We all should be waking up with a fully charged phone. It's 2022. We have an outlet, but the way I'm gonna like spin this is when you wake up without a fully charged phone, that is when you're like, motherfucker. Like, kind of like your day's a little bit dependent. Like the first hour or so, it's like if you gotta like run to the gym or like you got like an early meeting, it's like you gotta scramble to get your phone charged up. So it's like, it almost is like the next day when you wake up and your phone, you like remember to plug it in and you get it and you wake up, you're on 100%. You're like, all right, we're back to normal. Like something you maybe take for granted, but when you're in a pinch and you got like 4% battery left and you wake up, it fucking sucks. So it's the little things. Shout out to having a fully charged phone. I woke up this morning with one. Great start to the Monday.
I see where you're going with that one. Like, I understand you did a great job for those degenerates that don't plug their phone in every night. But I think you're just showing how irresponsible you can be at times.
Maybe.
Because if anything, like, I get mad when I don't, while my phone isn't charged. I'm like, you dumb motherfucker.
Yeah.
But I think, like, it's just, that should be second nature.
It is. I feel like that's what I explained too. Like right out the gate.
I know.
This is something that shouldn't deserve a shout out, but it's when you don't have it, it makes you realize how important it is to have a fully charged phone. But you're right. If you don't have a fully charged phone, at least 98% of every morning, you are a fucking degenerate. So, and we've all been there once or twice, but you know, 100%. Actually, I'm charging up right now, but you know, it's been a big day on Twitter.
It's like short and sweet. Had to grab that microphone twice. Let me get that thing back. Hang on. I got to say a little bit more. Yeah. JP.
Yes,
You're
sir.
a big dog.
We were talking about this the other day, and I was speaking negative. I was looking at the negative side of it. And so my shout out, no free shout out, goes to those cashiers and the equipment that when you, after you pay for something, you don't have to fill out the tip thing. When you just ask for something basic and they're like, oh, you know, here's your cup of water. And they flip that screen around and it says like 15, 25, 30. And everybody's staring at you. She's staring at you like, I'm not about to tip you for some water. So then that every now and then you get some people that like, they don't even ask. They don't do it. And it's like, thank you. Because I'm not about to tip you for this water. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, get ready for that pet peeve. That's definitely going to be on the list. I think we all need to. I think that's something that's such an epidemic. Like, that needs to be a shout out every week. Like, somebody different needs to talk about why they hate that.
Right.
Those motherfuckers, like, trying to get. Some of them just start at 20%, 20, 22, 24. Fuck, man. What we doing? All you do is grab me a donut.
And you feel all the eyes in the store on you.
Yeah. That big ass screen flipped around. Talking about, hey, you're trying to cover your work like you're in school.
Right.
A little taller and one.
Yeah. Like, shit, let me just hit custom.
Yeah.
Hit that custom.
Round up. They need to have the round up option on there.
But it's not even that you don't want to tip. It's just like you said, it's the bullshit that they're trying to
Right.
get you on. Like, yo, you legit just gave me a cup of water. Like, you legit just fucking, like I just said, you grabbed the donut, like out of the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Fuck. God damn it. That's a good one. That's a good, what was the shout out? When you don't have to do that?
Yeah. Shout out to the cashiers that don't make you tip for a
Yeah.
basic task.
That have the awareness to know, like, I'm not going to fucking mess up this person's day by flipping this screen around.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I said.
You need a, number one, you guys all need to be putting your shout outs on social media. Two, you should do that shout out and just write a long shout out and then do like a fucking long. Yeah. Yeah. Garrett, what do you got, bro?
My shout out this week is going to go to all the fans buying the new merch. It's football season. Everybody's gearing up. Right now, the Titans fans are in the lead, followed by the Raiders.
Hang on. Is Titans fans in the lead without
This is okay.
without the order?
Okay, you're going to give our like
I'm just saying we're gonna be selling merch I just want this to be a true competition.
that is fair.
Because
But-
it's close. All I'm saying is it's close.
It's close, but without ours, we still have the lead because the Titans have the lead by, like, I'm not gonna do that math. but
yeah, don't do the math. Like, don't say the numbers.
There's one number bigger than the other.
Okay. Because it's close.
We're
It's
looking at
within-
the same numbers.
We're like within
Also, I'll say
50
this-
between Tennessee and the Raiders.
right,
That's how
and
close of a
also
number
this
it is.
is from this past Friday. So I did just ask for an updated number,
Okay.
but right now it goes Titans, Raiders, the Nebraska corn shirt, Green Bay, then the Nebraska skull shirt, which I was kind of shocked that one didn't like shoot through the roof.
True, but like Nebraska combined now.
No, for sure. They needed those points on Saturday, but that's all good. But then we got Michigan bringing up the rear.
Michigan really, I mean, Michigan's not going to
We expected that.
Michigan fans, I love that you're tuned into the pod. And I love that you love the pod, but just know you guys aren't big enough to compete with the big dogs. Like, stay on the porch.
Exactly.
Keep buying.
What was the quote?
You're going to piss like a puppy, then stay on the porch. Let the big dogs eat.
There you go. But yeah, shout out to all the fans buying the merch. Appreciate you guys. As you heard Dave say in the clip, we got to sell merch.
Yeah, we got to sell merch. Keep this thing going.
So appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Garrett, that's a good shout out. He's our merch guy, so he's always shouting out you guys. You got to appreciate it. You wish he gets more detailed at times, but I understand he's excited about the merch because he's the merch guy. All right, my shout out, no free shout out of the week. I've been thinking about this because there's a couple on my list. I'm like, all right, which one do I want to go with today? Because I feel like I've been on quite the run. What is that? Am I not speaking facts right now?
Yeah.
Am I not speaking facts right now? You know, I've been on a roll with the shout outs. I'm going to do this because it happened to me today, leaving my workout, year 10. My shout out, no free shout out, goes to those people who understand that no matter what, you're turning left at the stoplight. That middle lane to where you're turning left and there's oncoming traffic. And some people, which will live on, will be another topic for another day. I went off about this, maybe with Shane Gillis, with that episode, but I don't want to give them any burn. But where they don't go cross that, they stay in that lane, they stay behind the line, and then when the light turns yellow and then ultimately red, they don't turn left, even though their blinkers on. My shout out goes to those people who understand the game, understand the importance and urgency of putting yourself out there a little bit in the middle. You don't go straight out in the middle. There is oncoming traffic, and you have no clue what people's coming from the right and from the left. But you need to get your ass over that line to let the person behind you know, hey, I'm about to get this. If there's enough time and you can get it too, you can come get in this party with me. But it's those people who go out there and whether it's a yellow light and you feel like somebody in the ongoing traffic speeding up to beat their green light, that's fine. To beat their yellow light, you still wait for them to go. That motherfucker can turn red. And even when it turns red and those people continue to turn left, my shout out goes to you guys. And you're probably driving a Chevy Silverado because we know no other way than teamwork. And then to me, that's where the shout out comes in. So that's my shout out. No free shout out of the week. Now we're going to get into this Aaron Rodgers podcast. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us for 46 fucking minutes. Jesus, I apologize for making this such a long intro. There's a lot to unpack. I think a lot of good shit that you guys might like. If you do like our longer intros where we kind of do the housekeeping and cleaning and shit like that, maybe drop a comment and say, hey, boys, we don't mind this. We're here for the vibes. I saw you guys dropping comments last week, pro vibes. We're here for the vibes. If you're here for the intro vibes, say, I love the intro vibes. Say right now in the comments, Willie, love the intro vibes, big dog. Keep it up. That's the exact comment I would love to read. But now we're going to get into yeah, you're so fucking awesome, bro. Keep this intro shit coming. But here, without further ado, here's the Aaron Rodgers episode. Better than Rogan's, better than Part of My Takes. Both of them were really good. However, our little 28, however many minutes we got with Aaron Rodgers, you guys will enjoy. Here's an ad read probably first, maybe not. And then Aaron Rodgers. And just like you guessed it, we're doing an ad read right before this Aaron Rodgers episode. Shout out to Georgia Boot. No free shout outs. The best looking boots on the planet. Not only the best looking, but also the most comfortable. Every time I'm walking around in these boys, everybody in the yard's looking at me. Playoff Willie, where'd you get those boots? And I let them know Georgia Boot. Every time I let them know Georgia Boot, because we're going to have a code Bussin, Bussin, at the end of this read that's going to give you 20% off. I actually just said the code. I actually said the entire thing. But think about the comfort technology of an athletic shoe packed into a great looking boot. Whether you're on your feet all day, grilling out with the boys, chilling on the couch, depending what kind of parents you have or how you run your own household. But you can chill with these things anywhere. They don't sacrifice comfort or style. Go to GeorgiaBoot.com. Use code Bussin for a generous 20% off. That's GeorgiaBoot.com. Code Bussin, 20% off. Now, finally, the Aaron Rodgers episode. Arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, and we got him. We got him on a handheld mic.
This is a
that
prank?
There's like a buzzing noise that is apparently going on with that.
Dude, we're grinding.
No prank. We're grinding. No. This is the grittiest podcast you will be on.
Is it a great week?
No, it's lunch pail week. We call ours lunch pail week.
Nice. Bro.
DMT boys do the grid week. We steal everything that they do and make it our own.
Don't steal that shit.
Did you go on it?
Be better. I did.
How would you think?
I had a good time. Yeah, a good time.
Big Cat's big on you being in prison, you being in jail, not liking you. How's that relationship between you guys?
Been great. Yeah, really good. Big thanks to Caleb Presley. He kind of put everything in motion.
So I was working out with Caleb Presley 2 days ago. He wanted an accountability buddy. I was like, bro, I'm all for it. I'm all for the accountability buddy train. Like, I'm chilling, you're chilling. Like, let's do this thing. And this is his quote. Aaron Rodgers is the coolest dude I've ever been around.
Cap.
How do you feel about that?
He's up there. Aaron's pretty cool. He's gotten cooler over the years.
Thanks, Bob.
Did you guys hang in Tahoe?
Yeah. I had him over to the house I was renting, and we did the episode Sunday Conversation, which is coming out a couple weeks, probably maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. Absolutely
so
outrageous.
He's
Dude,
so
And
funny.
then he
so funny.
and then he
His
stuck
little
around.
ad-libs.
He stuck around. Him and
Glenny Balls.
Glenny Balls, yeah. That
Come on
dude,
now, Glenny Balls, baby.
I mean, that dude is amazing.
Specimen.
He slays.
And he just, yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Hey.
He just sits there and eats ice cream. He's talking about how he's hanging out with like the Hooters women and they're like feeding him grapes and stuff like that.
Right.
Glenny Balls is a legend.
Now he has his own. Does he have his own podcast with all like?
yeah, where he sits. It's called Only
porn stars and
Stands.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Good for
where
him.
he sits with porn stars and talks to him. I guess.
Good for him.
Is that-
Talks to
that's
chicks
real?
he talks to chicks with OnlyFans accounts, big ones,
Oh yeah.
and he talks about like I guess like he talks about sex and orgies
Yeah.
and everything else.
Good for him.
Good for
He's
him.
making
man.
it.
Yeah.
But welcome to
chicks
Bussin'
into
with the
that.
Boys, bro.
Thank you.
This is huge for us. I hit up my man Rob. I was like, well, on the last pod that just came out this week that everybody can listen to. I was like, you think if we got the bus to Green Bay, like you think the boy 12 would get on the bus? And he was like, I think so. Rob made it happen. I really appreciate all of this because this is a big move for Bussin' with the Boys.
We did it. We did it, guys.
We got him on.
My first
Thanks, Bob.
question.
Thanks, man.
I apologize for continuing to interrupt. I've had a lot of coffee. I'm a little nervous too.
Kind of how you played most of the time.
Yeah.
Bam!
That boy was shaking in his butt.
the biggest rivalry the sport has ever seen. Will
Yeah.
Compton, Aaron Rodgers.
Nice post the other day too, by the way. Really good post.
The one
How
about
you
me and you.
recovered in the fumble.
I was wondering if you saw that.
Too, bro.
I appreciate that. If you ever want to hit that username and hit the follow button, that's up to you. You don't have to say what you don't have to say what you're gonna do on here because I don't want my feelings hurt very early. But I appreciate that, man. My first question:
Twitter is the new MySpace.
why do you say that?
Oh, I just thought about that the other day, and I was like, I like that line. That's a good line. They had a chance to, to be on top, and now I feel like Instagram came up, and then all these kids are on TikTok now.
See, I think Twitter is still hasn't scratched the surface. But
That shit shouldn't even be free, dude. Some of the shit, the threads that go into Twitter, like if you go dive deep into Twitter, it's the funniest app.
Disagree.
No,
I think Twitter is the funniest app.
deep. Yeah, but see, again, we're like working on Aaron's humor too.
He's
So
got
getting
humor.
funnier. No, we're just getting funnier.
Oh, we're trying to get him funnier. Why do you don't think you don't think you don't think Twitter's the funniest app out there?
No, I don't.
What do you think is more funny?
I think Instagram is funnier.
Like the memes?
Yeah.
But that's where they get their memes from. is Twitter.
eHarmony.
But bro, you would have never saw my clip and my caption had it not been on Twitter. And only something like that plays on Twitter. Like you're not gonna scroll and see my Instagram post
No,
and be like,
definitely not.
yeah, like look what Will posted on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like you see Twitter go off, you kind of hit it because you want to see some of the comments and the funnies that follow it.
But it's turning into the MySpace though. It is.
Okay, we can agree to disagree.
What's you still think Facebook is still rocking it?
No,
What?
I think Facebook is awful.
It's for 50-year-old, 60-year-old
Yeah.
women who still check in on like 20, 30-year-old.
Yeah. Like people who
Good for
comment,
them. Good for you. You know a lot of those type of
Confidence.
people.
people
Yeah.
who comment a lot on like Aaron's, like whether it's games, stuff off the field, like those are people who live on Facebook.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
No.
More of like the white collar, like the older people, the older
The
generation.
Midwest.
Yeah.
I
Midwest
like the
is
blue
Facebook.
collar, gritty folks. What app are they on?
They're on Bussin' With The Boys.
They're right here.
That's what they're
This
on.
is this.
Yeah.
My first question, man,
A little warm.
is it is a little warm. It's a little toasty. Is ayahuasca the key to success?
Good question, man. Are you asking a serious question? You want a serious response?
I thought it's like I like that fun. I
You're
like
kind
the
of being a
seriousness.
jackass. You think you're
It's like I'm sitting here because I listened to your podcast with Aubrey Marcus. By the way, I thought it was phenomenal. Taking a deep dive into you, you're very like open and transparent. Like the whole controlling the narrative thing, like juices me up because that's why I like love doing this shit because people talk freely and kind of it's the people behind the helmet and you get to know them more. Had you not, really all you see them as is what articles are written on them out there and everybody else commenting. We don't say enough because we want to keep our helmet on and appease everybody inside the building because it's not about us. But I really appreciated that episode. I asked that in fun. The serious part, you can go listen to that episode because you obviously talk openly about your trips, your fucking all your little rides that seem very interesting. You're getting emotional, I'm getting emotional listening to it, and I'm wondering if I get on this ride, am I going to have year 10? Am I going to put together back-to-back MVP seasons? Because that's what the narrative's getting painted as now, that ayahuasca is the reason you've won back-to-back MVPs.
They're going to run with whatever narrative they want. I think there's a lot to unpack in that question based on some of the things that I have seen about it. But look, it's my experience. I speak for myself, and I had a fantastic experience both times. The first time I did in Peru and the second time down in Central America. Very thankful for the lessons that I learned on that. But classic this culture, you know, if you can't monetize it, then they're going to demonize it. And ayahuasca, I've seen some crazy headlines about, you know, psychedelic drug.
Right.
It's a plant, number one.
It's just a plant, dude.
It's been used for generation after generation after generation in Central and South America. And so as far as research goes, yeah, there's thousands of years of research around using this plant in medicinal ceremony. And there's a lot of benefits to it. For me, it was like I talked about, you can go listen to the podcast, but it was two really deeply meaningful experiences. But, you know, if you're not into it, that's fine. But projecting your own opinion onto something without understanding what it is doesn't advance any conversation further. And there's a lot of research around a number of different things labeled as drugs, like psilocybin, which is mushrooms, which is a fungi, and the demonization of marijuana that's gone back to, you know, the 1800s, really, and hemp and the war against hemp. There's a great book about that. You know, I think that's what people who want to monetize health have done to many things that are plants that actually have incredible healing properties. Look at the Chinese. They've been using herbs for thousands and thousands of years, and I'm rambling now, but the point is there are like real substances, plants, you know, herbs, fungi that have been healing people for a long time. And then there's pharmaceutical stuff, which some is very, you know, important, and it helps people with certain specific causes. But there's also an industrial complex that really wants to make money off of health.
So we've talked about this, but I'm just kind of asking
I
questions.
love you co-hosting in here. That's good.
Thank you.
He's fired up. I know he's you're game ready right now.
Yeah. So I just kind of asking questions for Will to kind of hear it out, because we've talked about your trips and experiences and your visits to these countries, but for like him who doesn't know, like what goes about that, like when you drink it, and like how long is the experience? What do you do? What is the, I don't want to say vibe, because it's obviously more important and like
No, I can talk
intent.
about the vibe.
Yeah.
I know about the vibes.
Oh, we're pro vibes on this bus,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
Vibes only.
I
right?
appreciate that.
Yeah. I've dispelled again. I talk a lot about this in the podcast. The short version is it's in some sort of you know, ceremonial environment. So some, you know, yurt or a tent or like
Like in a jungle, or like in a forest.
In Central America, we're in a jungle. There was, it was a week-long thing. There was 22 people on the trip. There was, 8 facilitators at the center. The shaman, obviously comes in, and there's a specific diet that you eat. There's 3 nights of sitting with the medicine, and then a day off in between where there's integration, there's conversation around your experience. But even way before that, there's, talks about your fears around it, the expectations of it. Um, so you feel really, really confident.
So you go into it with like the mindset of what you're trying to get out of it.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just like you're just thrown into it.
No. It's very intentional. So
Yeah.
you go in with an intention, something you want to work through or you're open to.
Right.
But at the end
How
of
hard is it to get to that intention?
well, you have
Because I'm obviously listening to you, and there's like stuff that you're having to like live in the scarring of it to like, the whole self-love thing that you talk
Right,
about as well,
right.
like being intentional and trying to have the right mindset going into it. Like me, I think about it, I'm like, man, I probably have like, you get to like an anxiety state, like, is this the rabbit hole I want to go down, and is this the right decision? Like, how do you get to be intentional
well, then
about
it's
it?
not ready. It's not time, for you. It's not time. I think when you're ready, things will come into alignment, and the opportunity will present itself. But the key for me is the surrender. So surrendering to the intelligence of the plant or the intelligence of yourself, however you want to look at it, to go on the journey to learn the lessons that need to be learned. Because when you're resistant, and it's just really anything in life, when you're resistant to things, obviously that water can't flow, that action can't happen. And when you are in a ceremonial space and drink ayahuasca, it's a very calm environment. It's dimly lit. You drink. There's mapacho being smoked, which is the sacred tobacco, which the shamans believe helps keep protection over the space. He's singing Icaros, which are very like generationally passed down songs to aid in the medicinal journey. And then there's multiple facilitators around who have sat with plants for, you know, much of their life, who can help if things get squirrely. But there's a bucket if you need to purge or throw up, and there's bathrooms if you need to go to the bathroom. And other than that, it's usually you laying on your mat, having a deep and meaningful experience.
Are you with like other people?
There's 22 other people.
So,
Plus
but they
facilitator.
put you all in the same area,
Yeah, but you're in your own
right?
you're in your own world. I promise
Yeah,
you that. Like
yeah.
we might be, Will and I might be, on mats next to each other, but I'm in my own experience, and he's definitely in his own.
Will is definitely would be in his own experience.
Yeah.
I'm shitting myself. There's no question. Whatever's happening, yeah, we're all in a.
Full purge.
What I want to ask is, I listen to that and I think like, all right, you do something like that, and then you have, whether it's the rest of the off season or you get into the season, what how do you balance coming out of that and continue to be intentional with like living in that clarity, or like living in protecting your mental from getting outside of yourself? Like, how do you stay intentional? Like, what's like a routine you might stick to, or like books, or how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, all that stuff. I think as we're creatures of habit. So the routine during the off season, it's so nice to not have the routine, to be able to make your schedule and
Mm-hmm.
do what you want to do. And you have your workouts in the mornings usually and stuff. But when you get back, I think one of the things that we all love and appreciate is that routine that kind of keeps us focused on the here and now. But inside of that, we can't get locked into the same routine all the time. It takes 3 weeks to build a habit. Uh, and once it's built, it can stick with you, but it's keeping your mind focused on what you want to actually have your days look like. And for me, there has to be some sort of meditation, there has to be some sort of quiet period, especially when I get back from work, where I can just like decompress, because work is loud and there's a lot of stuff that we're asked to do. Some more than others, depending on your position, your age, your importance to certain parts of the aspects of the chemistry of the team. And I think it's important to keep that balance when you get home, having a space that's kind of just yours, and having the time to be quiet and and to decompress is important for me to kind of mentally stay sharp.
I got another question. I'm just trying not to.
No,
I
keep
know you
going.
want to be on your co-hosting game. So we pivoting, going into like talking a little bit about ball and everything else. We just had on LaFleur and Bisaccia. Number one, I would love to ask like your thoughts on Bisaccia coming into the team. I've played for him for a couple of years. I think he's fucking a
Oh,
gem,
we
dude.
needed-
like some of the best speeches you'll ever hear in your life because
Yeah.
they're like genuine. Like he's authentic. Like, hey, what do you think of Bisaccia?
Best part is I like him. I definitely like him. I got back and he was like, "Hey man, you didn't respond to my text." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, I sent you, that picture. Did you not get it?" And I was like, "I'm not this Bob knows. Sorry, Bob, but I'm not the best texter." And I was like, "Ah, man, I must not have seen it." Anyway, he shows me he sent me to a number like 3 numbers ago. I don't know where he got that number, but it was like I haven't had that number since like 12 or something. And it's like him. I'm like, the best part about this is you sent this fucking picture to some random number. Not only that, but you sent it to 2 numbers that I haven't had in 10 years. So, numbers get recycled. They get
Being
picked
super
up.
genuine.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah,
sent a
yeah.
It's like
selfie.
him. No, it's like
You know, he
him in
texts
like
like 3 people a
like
day.
a Raiders shirt, like looking all like mean mugged at the camera. It's like, Rich, what are you doing?
Wait, was he in his white beater
I think it was. Yeah.
with the Raiders beanie on?
That's what it was. Yeah.
Dog. Yes,
That's
I
his
have that
favorite
photo. That
picture,
shit
yeah.
is hilarious.
Dude, we
Yeah,
might have to
that's
pull
the
it up.
picture.
Um,
Yeah, Rich, Peter, Raiders thing. I'm like, best part is you sent that to some random person.
and
Easily.
he's
And
upset that you
make
didn't
it
text
fun.
him back about that because he thought he was gonna make you laugh.
But then since I got him my real number, he's been texting me nonstop.
That's
So I
rich,
don't know if
man.
I should have just said, "Oh yeah, man, great picture. Thanks for that."
Oh my gosh.
No, I
Right.
like Rich though. We needed an attitude change on teams.
Yeah.
It's
Just
a
like-
mindset.
Just like young guys coming in who don't like get it, like where you like we get it. Undrafted, you have to
you
like
get it, bro.
You get it. You gotta play special teams to just make the team, just to get in.
Yeah,
Just
I
get
don't know
your
if he
foot.
knows.
He doesn't know.
I don't play teams.
No.
I held a few times. It's
Yeah, it's not the same. And just kind of bringing that culture and like acceptance of like like that's like it's okay. There's no like pride in like being on special teams. Like there's no like loss of pride. Like that's how you get there. And him being so straightforward and like black and white about it is like the best thing for this team. It's kind of like creating like men when they walk in the door, like to just like, and he teaches football as a whole, like skill as a whole. He doesn't just teach like special teams drills or like football drills, like fundamental drills that like you just don't get when you get to the league.
With going off of Bisaccia, playing with LaFleur coming in a few years ago, how's it been like you guys sharing ideas, spitballing back and forth? There's obviously always the vibe out there of like you guys are both the head coaches of the team. Like talk about Coach LaFleur a little bit. I know you got to be aware of
That's
that.
the vibe?
Like, he was on here and he told a really cool story because I was like, yo, like coaching 12, like you've been around a lot of quarterbacks throughout your career. Like what makes 12 different? And he brought up, actually it was both of you guys. He brought up a play from Detroit where you guys are literally talking right before as the play clock's winding down, and he's in his mind thinks like he's not going to get this ball if he has no clue that it's going down. And it
Oh,
was
no.
about to hit 0.
We know exactly
and he
what
calls
play.
a timeout, and he was like, "There's 0 coming." Him and Rob are talking back and forth. I call timeout before the clock hits 0, and Aaron just goes like he's like Aaron comes over and just gets mad like, "God damn it, Matt!"
It was a touchdown.
And he's like, it was a learning lesson for him because of how aware he is about so many situations. Like, talk a little bit about your head coach LaFleur.
Under that that picture you just painted.
now that you have the
It's kind of a
foundation, go ahead.
Yeah. Sometimes, I'm learning. I'm learning as I get better each time I get on here.
There's been a lot of disinformation and misinformation about, that was put out right away when Matt.
Right.
All right, we're not gonna be able to work together. I'm not coachable. All this bullshit. We basically turned all that on its head pretty quick. I respect the guy who works his ass off. And Matt has an incredible work ethic. He really does. I mean, he is a grinder and he cares about it. And the biggest dance we had to figure out was pairing his knowledge of scheme with my knowledge of experience, on the field. And obviously he's called games. He was coordinator in Tennessee, but I think after the first year in the offseason, we really paired those things up. And we whittled down the offense, took out stuff that we never ran or that didn't work, kind of put a couple things back in that had worked in the past. And, it changed a lot of things, I think, for our offense, and changed how him and I interacted. The trust was there, and I stopped feeling like, I was a game manager, and I felt like we took the reins off of, or the blinders off of the offense, and kind of let us run free, and had a couple really good years of offensive football. But
More
the
to
thing
add?
I love about Matt is that he does have a growth mindset. And when he came in, the way he's talked to the team in meetings, the way he interacted with the guys, he's still corny and has got his jokes, and we fine him for bad jokes. But
The worst jokes.
the worst, yeah.
The worst.
But he's really,
He tries.
he cares enough. He tries so hard, and you love that. And he fucking grinds too.
Yeah.
I mean, so how do you not respect that? The dude fucking grinds. You come in, he's got 5 or 6 like really fucking good plays during the week, and you're like, all right, awesome. Thank you for grinding so much. Also, you're getting skinny fat, so just check yourself, Matt.
Dude,
But no one has to pay attention to skinny fat when you got eyebrows like that.
That's
and
true.
teeth is white. Like obviously I don't have veneers.
And
Like
they're
immediately
real.
I saw you look down. Like he has very white teeth naturally. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got his eyebrows, he's got his white teeth. It's hard to look down and understand.
Did you
that
ask
he
him
is
who
skinny
does
fat.
his eyebrows?
No, I didn't.
I'm just curious.
Great belly button too.
He's got a good belly button. No, he is. He does
Start
seem
off,
like somebody who he understands. He has like the awareness of his corniness, and he knows like he's like, I don't want to try and be somebody I'm not. And I think he really respects that this locker room is player led, and like he used an example of Campbell bringing it up and telling these guys they're going to have a reality check. Like this practice is hard now because you guys, like the vets or the established guys, aren't going to be playing a lot in this first game.
Right.
And this is good for you because you guys are going to have a reality check in the game. And he stands there and he says, when you sit back and hear guys say stuff like that, it takes like an expectation off, because he's like, I can say it as much as I want,
Yeah.
but it comes from a place of, oh, we're trying to work you guys as hard as possible. And
But like conversations that I've had with him, it's like for him at the beginning, it was he didn't feel like he was doing enough when he was letting those players lead, or like letting 12 like
Same thing with 2 minutes. He felt
Yeah,
the same
I
way.
was-
I feel like
that
I'm
was-
not
that was coming out of my mouth.
good.
That was coming out of my mouth. I said it with Aaron with 2 minute was like, and we talked about it on the podcast. It's just like Aaron barely knows what the next play call is going to be. Obviously, Matt's not going to
Stop
know.
giving away my secrets, by the way.
That's not secrets at all.
That's true.
it
That's
can be,
the
a
biggest
given.
open-ended thought process ever.
And it's it's
Um,
like no one knows the secret because there is no secret. Nobody knows what's going to happen next.
Right.
It's
Only you
exciting.
know the
It's
secret.
exciting. You never know.
It is.
You never
exciting.
know, man.
And I think like he was just more so at the beginning, and not like a pride or ego thing, but just he wanted to be like a part of it.
But there's ego in this,
Yeah.
And I'm it's not.
Everyone has an ego.
Yeah, there's definitely some ego. It's like, well, I want to be a part of it. I want to help out.
That's the difference of, year 18 versus year 5.5.
Boy, what's the difference?
Ego. Yeah, it is ego. Right to it.
Yeah. Well, I think they're like, yeah. No, I feel you, because you're trying to have an 18-year career.
Right. Trying to be nice.
That'd be awesome.
Would be nice.
You can do
He's
You can do it.
I can't do it.
he can afford to just come out and say that. Well, but I do love that. I do love how open you can be, because it gives like a fresh perspective to a lot of people on what goes on in the mind of players that we can't necessarily.
Especially for being a young head coach, though, to have like this locker room is so like good to set a foundation for
Mhm.
him like moving forward.
I agree, and it's not like this everywhere.
It's not at all.
What do you mean by that?
We got the best locker room in the NFL.
It's a good
Okay,
one.
there we
It's a good one.
No, and not even talking about like
nobody left.
I think.
Okay,
no,
yeah,
I think
boys.
well, I think
Yeah.
this. I think there's fear around player-led teams ultimately, especially with new programs, and there's always new programs in the league. So new coach comes in, he wants to do his shit, and the last guy was an idiot, and I want my guys in here. And we have so much turnover, it's hard to really keep the fabric of what makes that place special there. And we naturally have an amazing kind of fabric and aura around Lambeau Field and the Packers. But if we didn't have myself and Sadie's and Mason and Bach and Bobby and Allen and some of these guys, who've been around the team, Cobby for a long time, that's the fabric of the team. And then instead of like trying to insert your own dogma and way of doing things that has to be right, going to those guys and saying, what's worked here? Like what works in Green Bay? Because Green Bay is different. Every place is different. What works here that I can add into my philosophy and my boundaries for the team and my, goals and directions. And I think that's what Matt did really well was he simplified things. He came in, he said, there's 3 rules. I'm like, fuck, thank you. It's 3 rules? Awesome. What are they? Oh, put the team first. Don't make excuses and complain, and be on time, be prepared. I'm like, awesome. Okay. And then we're going to hold guys accountable if they don't follow the rules. Sweet. All right. So it's
That's
just
awesome.
like simple shit, right? That makes sense. And then players take it over.
Right.
And everybody kind of working together. And
Yeah.
like, obviously, yes, there's ego and all of it, but checking your ego at the door while you're going into.
Yeah, I think that what was the thing? The Players Tribune that I kind of said in that letter was
Humble brag.
humble brag.
Check it out.
I didn't really write it though.
Oh, you wrote it. Hang on. Yeah, well, you wrote it.
That's standard.
Let's
though.
stop.
That's
You wrote it.
standard. Yeah.
But like you don't even have to like check your ego at the door. Like it just naturally like just goes away once you get around like the leaders in the locker room. Because 1, we hold each other accountable, and 2, like we just actually like care about each other. So you're not trying to come in here and, be anything you're not, like he's saying, or like,
Well, and we fuck with each other too. Like,
Yeah.
I think there has to be an environment where you can have jokes and mess around.
yeah,
Have
Be
fun
boys.
and tease each other.
Yeah.
That's what like brotherhood's all about, right? Like,
yeah,
tearing you, picking at you,
right.
getting after you a little bit on where you're sensitive, and then building you up when we need to build you up. And I think that's what's great about our environment here.
Are you sensitive? Is he sensitive?
We're all
Aaron?
sensitive about a couple things.
Yeah. But no, like there's really no one actually sensitive in the
most
building
fun.
other than Matt. Like about jokes, but he's gotten better.
Yeah,
He's gotten better.
He's gotten better.
He's gotten
He's
better.
But like when someone comes in with an ego and is like loud and obnoxious or something like that, like they're either not here long or they like stick out like a sore thumb in a bad way.
You can, we won't, but you can probably name. I mean, I can in 18 years, and you can in how many years you've been here now?
5.5.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a few of those guys who haven't stuck around.
Dude, and you're 18. You've played 18 fucking years, which is
17.
unreal. This will be 18. You played 17, going on 18, going for back-to-back MVPs. But I think a couple things that were not glossed over, but what I really found interesting in that 2.5 hour long podcast you did with Aubrey is, over the years, obviously you have this mystique about you where media and everybody else tries to separate you from the stuff you do on the field, how much you care, your actual competitive nature, how good of an actual like leader you are. People try and separate and create a lot of stuff, and it all gets away from everybody else. But one thing I really like listened to that I was like, that's fucking awesome to kind of hear him reflect on was just how competitive you were, going all the way back to sitting in, because I was the same way. Like I would sit on Rivals and obsess over being like, I'm fucking better than this dude. Like I need to be trying to get to this camp. Like this obsession of like, I would sacrifice and say no to this stuff on weekends. Like you've like, that's the humanizing thing where it's like, oh fuck, like, yeah, every young cat is like that. And you're the same way, that young kid that's like, love the game. And another thing, like squatting 500 fucking pounds going into year 18.
Safety bar.
Hey, safety bar. And I justify it myself because I'm like, man, he squats more than me. I don't think I could do 500 on the safety bar anymore. But I'm like, but that is like that competitive nature is what I'm trying to pull out from this, based on being young and you going all the way back to that and you kind of having that, but it gets lost in translation because everybody's so obsessive of things that you do in the off season that I think people lose sight of that little kid that was still sitting, probably writing to coaches or fucking watching Rivals tape and trying to be the best, or I need to get a scholarship to Cal. But
well, that doesn't fit the narrative. I think they've definitely painted me as they want me to play the villain role. They have all different roles in sports.
Fun role.
Can be.
You see, I fucking own you like in the middle of the season. Like
it can be, yeah.
Yeah, but it'd be much more fun if it wasn't the villain role and he's just doing that and just having fun.
I
having a
agree.
good time.
I am
Do you
just
enjoy
having
it?
fun.
No, I'm saying if it
I'm
was
not
painted-
embracing the villain role. I'm saying that's how I'm getting
Dude.
painted, bro.
That's a sensitive fine. I was literally just saying. I was saying it would be much more like nice and like if he was portrayed as who he actually is.
Nice. I don't care. I
Right.
really don't. You want to pay me as a villain? Cool.
do you enjoy that? Like, do you have fun? Like,
no, I mean, I don't pay a lot of attention to it. I know it's out there. I know that's
Right.
That's
You did speak in that podcast of times where, man, what was the word you saying? But you're like, I knew I was acting. Like something about indifference.
I was talking about killing people with indifference.
Yeah,
Not
killing people with
physically,
indifference. Yeah, right. I was talking about murdering people.
I don't think indifference has ever been a part of the part of the murder what charge, but no, I was just saying that I do care deeply. I care about excellence. I care about my teammates. Care about setting the standard and living up to that standard, and care about how I'm viewed in the locker room. And I care about how I show up in the world. I want to show up in the world exactly how I see myself. I think that's the goal for any of us. We want to be seen, heard, and understood, right? I think that's kind of built into the fabric of our humanity. And, for me, I was seen, I was kind of heard, but I was also kind of an enigma because I didn't talk a lot about my personal life, but definitely not understood. And so there were a lot of narratives that got ran out there about, what they thought I was like, or what they expected, or what they postulated or projected I was like. And it's been nice the last few years with, doing Pat's show and being a little more open with the media, and then doing stuff like this with you. And I enjoy these conversations because I think people get to, see actually who I am. And if they still don't like me, that's cool, whatever. But at least you get to like hear it from me, like, no, this is what I'm about.
Yeah.
This is who I am. Take it or leave it.
Was there any type of, nervousness might not be the right word, but like getting into doing the McAfee stuff, like going out and showing yourself and being vulnerable enough to talk about these things? Like, was there any type of hurdle you had to get over doing that and getting
I had to do
comfortable once
ayahuasca.
doing it? Yeah, I had to do ayahuasca.
It just goes back to the plant.
Yeah, it just goes back to the plant, man.
Listen, I think I got to the point of where truly, truly deep down, not having anxiety or fear around what's going to be said about me, knowing that the deepest regret would be to not show up exactly how I want to show up, and to say exactly what I believe. And that was the acting part, that I could actually not respond and not care, because I do want to be seen how I see myself. I think we all do. And a lot of people have said a lot of things about me over the years and portrayed me in a certain way. And this has been, to some extent, because you're never going to change people that just don't want to like you, don't like,
Right.
hate you. I think you're a diva, ego, maniacal, narcissist, or whatever else they say.
But he's not paying attention.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I'm postulating, that what might be said. But in the end, to be able to have a voice and take back my narrative to some extent, at least just speak the truth about who I am and what I'm about, feels pretty good.
I love it, man. I admire it. Like, I think it's awesome that you're, like, when I heard you were going on PMT and stuff, I'm like, man, we're supposed to be fucking sitting down with them. But I really respect like all of this stuff, like listening to that pod with Aubrey.
I appreciate you listening to it, and we need more people who can have conversations and highlight guys in the league who are deep thinkers and interesting people, and not just your standard blah blah football bullshit stuff, because there's a lot of great stories in the league that don't get told, a lot of great humans who are smart and interesting and thoughtful, and I appreciate you highlighting those people and taking care of my boy Big Bob.
Are we gonna be rolling? Are we gonna be a crew in due time? In due time, when you
Do we get like those like three-wheeled motorcycles and become a motorcycle gang, or what?
I would be down with that.
That's the boys.
A gang of love, right?
That is true. Why did he want to kick me in the balls? You said Aaron said he wanted to kick
I
me in
didn't.
the balls. Why did you want to kick me
I
in
don't
the
have
balls?
a reason. I just said that's something you guys got to deal with.
I just felt like you took, you posting that video the other day was really hurtful. So, among other things.
Question.
What else?
I don't remember. I forgot.
I got a question.
Let's get it out.
CTE.
Okay.
I got a meeting in 6 minutes and 50.
Do we have a tier talk?
We don't, because it was too short.
How
What else do
about
we got to
this?
figure out, man?
How about this? We can cut this if Aaron doesn't want it on. But I thought about it last night. You ready?
Can I ask one more question
Yes.
before we do
Go
that?
ahead.
Because I think it's major.
Major
How do
key.
you see yourself going out? Because
Yes.
you've played 18 years,
17.
17 years, and I'm sure Super Bowl's involved and stuff. But like, how do you see yourself going out? Is it talking about that young 10-year-old Aaron Rodgers that loved this game so much, has been so competitive, so you're always doing yourself right by it? But like, how do you see Aaron Rodgers going out when you do decide to retire?
I see waking up and with a lot of gratitude for 25 years playing the same thing, playing the same sport. However many years, I'm at 25. This is my 25th year. So whether
You're
it's
gonna play 25
25 or
years?
26 or 27, I'm counting like, junior
Yeah.
college and Cal and high school. And
He is a grinder, JUCO.
Yeah.
Yeah, JUCO grinder.
All I needed to hear was he was watching Rivals, and I'm like, yeah, I obsessed. I was
never
fucking
on
watch that
any of the
too.
list, man. I was like,
Me either.
damn, I'm shitty. I can't even get
That
on
self doubt, but you
top
talked about
100 in
you,
California.
you talked about how it helped you build that kind of chip on your shoulder, but
Yeah, it did. But I think the time is going to be pretty evident. When it's my time to hang it up, I'll know.
okay.
And it'll be mental, hopefully. Physical, I mean, that's an easy time when you can't physically do it. But if I can still physically do it, it's just the mental part. And is it time to move on or time to keep it rolling and keep on chasing?
And I support that.
All right, boys, this last question is brought to us by Roback, the Roback question of the day. Use code BOYS, BOYS, on roback.com for 20% off your first purchase. That's RHOBACK.com. Use code BOYS for 20% off. They work with the best college athletes from Will Anderson to the boy Michael Mayer and Bijan Robinson and have the best performance polos, shorts, Q-zips, and hoodies around. It's all the boys wear. We're going to gift it to our guests, Aaron Rodgers and Rob Tunyon. And we'd like to gift you a Roback performance hoodie on us, Aaron and Rob Tunyon. Now back to the episode. What would you like to, what do you want to add?
Start one, bench one, cut one.
Okay, this is my last one that I'm out because I
Yes.
have a meeting.
Me too.
Go for it.
We're on the same team.
Start one, bench one, cut one.
Jordy, Tay, Donald Driver.
Oof. Cut and Tay, you broke my heart.
Got him.
No, of course not. I can't do that. Come on.
We already got, we needed
Look,
it.
I'm cutting D Drive. I only played with him. I played with him less than the other two guys. But
We had a Super
Just-
Bowl together, so I thought,
yeah.
I could get him.
we won a Super Bowl together.
That's what I was saying. I thought.
Also, Jordy was on that team.
I understand that.
Thank you.
Driver brought
That's
it.
my question here.
It is.
I'm
Well,
gonna-
it was my question.
Donald brought the iPad into the
I'm gonna
office.
bench
He's got-
Jordy and I'm gonna start Tay.
Why are you benching Jordy?
Because Jordy is a farmer now, and I saw him the other day. He put a little bit of weight on, and Tay still looks good and still the best receiver in the league. So I'm definitely starting
Facts.
Tay.
I was in my friend's basement watching him win a Super Bowl sophomore year of high
We
school.
were all somewhere watching him win a Super Bowl.
I was there.
Like he was in the Super Bowl winning it. We were all just kids watching him win Super Bowl. Hey, I appreciate it, man. I know you got to get
Yeah.
rolling. I tried milking this thing as long as I could.
did a
But I
great
do
job.
appreciate
You did
you
a great
guys,
job.
man.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Will.
It's good when the boys sweat together. That builds. That's equity, man.